And the only I know you're supposed to line up with because there's the scratches on them.
Yeah.
The only reason I struggled with it is because where I have my PlayStation, there's a pretty significant glare in the room. I just couldn't even see the scratches. And that was the only reason I had trouble with that puzzle.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to DCM, Doritos, Connections, and Mountain Dew, your favorite local video game talk show. Today we have a special treat. We're gonna do big boy thing. So I'm Howard.
I'm David.
And my name is Jake.
Yeah, and we are going to do a review of a video game. That's a first for us.
I know.
I don't think you've ever done that.
Yeah, no, we haven't actually.
Whoever thought we'd talk about video games?
I know, but now we're actually
What kind of nerd would
Talking about a specific video game.
we're being professionals here.
Yeah.
Because we want to work for IGN, of course.
I mean, speak for yourself.
Well, I'm sorry, you're a fuddy-duddy who doesn't want to work for Ingd.
I'd rather work for Kotaku, thank you.
Hit the stop
I'd
record
rather
button
not have
and
my
read it.
articles of Palestine taken down.
Instead, I want to talk about stupid things.
Like video games.
You like
Global relief efforts. Who needs those?
I'll be Kotaku and talk about how y'all need to stop talking about Lady Dimitrescu. And I'll write 5 articles in a week about it. Welcome to Kotaku.
Wow, this didn't take any time at all to devolve.
No.
No, it's I would say it's Justin's fault, but he's not here yet.
He's not here. Wait, what time is it?
It's I think
Okay,
it's like,
it's not 4. No, that clock's wrong.
Is he usually on this?
no,
Okay.
but he was a very entertaining
it's
sport.
It's still 10 off, so he has time.
But he's a very entertaining sport for our live action segments. This is going to be a segment for our show.
Yeah.
But when we were doing the live stuff, he was a great help and he was a great character. But now to be more focused, I know that's it sounds hypocritical coming from me,
I
but
know. Who would have thought?
today we're going to review the newest release for Resident Evil Village. We're not doing any spoiler-free stuff. No, we're spoiling everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I don't care.
If you haven't played the game, go play it.
Spoiler warnings for Resident Evil 4, 5, 7, 8. Any others do you think I should cover?
Why 5?
Because Chris.
Actually, yeah. There's a couple things we can talk
Okay,
about.
all right.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Did I miss any?
Those are the only real big ones that we would need.
Is 6 canon?
Yeah, but
Okay.
no one even remembers what happens in that, so it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna be
I don't think
reviewing.
Capcom even remembers what happened in that. They're trying to distance themselves from that.
They're like, I don't know what the bullet deflecting. I don't know. But yeah. So this is for the 2021 title Resident Evil Village. It's a survival horror game. Spooky, always a fun time. So, I guess do we want to kick it off with like just a plot summary?
General impressions.
General impressions.
Game good.
Game. I like game. Actually, you know what? First game I pre-ordered this year.
Really?
Oh wow, yeah.
I had no interest in literally anything else. I don't know if that is either because of my taste, which I don't think. My taste is pretty broad and eclectic, but I just don't think anything has scratched them an itch.
I agree. So far, nothing's really caught my eye this year.
Yeah, I didn't even pre-order. I was planning on playing it at some point, but like literally the week it was releasing, I'm like, maybe I'll just go pick it up when it comes out on Friday.
I pre-ordered it like the night before, because I don't normally pre-order games, but once people were talking about it and how good it was during the pre-release stuff, I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and get it.
Yeah, I kind of took, was it like Resident Evil 7? And I just went, all right, let me just find that deluxe edition and then click mine. Because if I will say anything, I do love Capcom deluxe editions of games because it's $10 more and there's so much free content that you get with that extra $10.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I the big like concept art pack.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome. I haven't gone through the stuff in Village, but I looked at all the stuff from 7 and I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, and you can change all the saving mechanisms, all the typewriters to be tape recorders, like in 7. It's very cool. So like, we were all in it with the first impressions of the game. And I guess I guess I don't know if this is in it, but there's like a recap of 7 that's only in the deluxe edition, which I
Is
thought.
that only the deluxe edition?
I think it's in the regular, because I have the regular, and
Okay,
it,
so then
it
I-
asked you at the beginning. If
Then
you,
I probably misread the DLC.
I think the thing you're thinking of is that like big, like, like file that like Zoe writes, and it's detailing the events.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm
It's like
thinking
the
of.
Baker incident report or something.
Yeah. So this is a direct sequel to Resident Evil 7, which 7 is about the main
Seven's
character.
about Hicks in the South.
Basically,
it's a soft remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre
For, like-
1 and 2 and Evil Dead.
yeah. It's about Ethan Baker. His wife goes missing, and why did
Ethan Winters.
Ethan Winters? There we go. I'm thinking of Baker. Listen. Why did I say Ethan Baker? It's the Baker household,
it's the
right?
Baker family,
Okay, so
yeah.
my mind is getting too ahead.
There's a lot of names here.
There's a lot of names. So Ethan goes to find his wife because what was she? Was she like a secret agent? Is that
So
what it was?
initially, it was like she went missing prior to the game starting for like a year or something, and she like sends him like an email saying not to like try and find her or anything.
And of course, our main protagonist is Ethan Winters, the smartest man alive. He decides, yeah.
I don't even think he has a profession really. He's just kind of a guy.
But in 8, they established he's part of the military now.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
whoa,
in
whoa,
8.
what?
Yeah, in the beginnings, he talks about getting military training.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Before that, he's not like a cop or anything. He's just a guy.
I thought that was like the training he had was like after the events of 7.
No, that's
Yeah,
what we mean.
that's what I mean. But like 7, he's just
He's just an ordinary
dude.
guy. Yeah,
He's just
He
dude.
strikes me as like
with some
a,
brown
like
loafers and a white collared shirt, and that's basically it.
He seems like the guy that would own like an herbal tea shop. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I could see him as like a reporter or something.
Reporter. Well, considering how well versed he is with the English lexicon, actually, I say no. He's not a good reporter.
Fair enough.
So he goes to the Baker house, and monsters ensue because they're all infected with a thing, a bioweapon called the moss.
The mold.
The mold.
The mold. It's the mold.
How can you forget the mold? Everyone loves that.
Yeah, and then of course it's a game. So he goes, well, I solved everything, and then between 7 and 8, Resident
They have a little baby.
he finds his wife, resident boulder puncher, Chris Redfield,
Comes to save them at the end.
Yeah.
comes to save them, and he takes them and puts them under, I guess, the bioweapon witness protection program.
The
Some
umbrella witness
equivalent of
protection.
that, yeah.
And,
all the way to Europe.
Oh yeah.
And they're all just chilling, they're vibing, Ethan's with his wife, and now we're at the point of Resident Evil 8 where Chris just comes in and then just axes off his wife and takes the baby and says, "Bye, Ethan," and Ethan goes, "No," and then he gets knocked out.
That's our
Yeah.
hook for the story, because up until that point, we don't know why he did that. And going into it, it feels kind of like a really dumb teaser you see for like a commercial for a TV show where it's like, like, oh no, so and so murdered this person. What will happen next?
Well,
and
that-
then you watch it, and it's like, oh no, it was just like an accident, or it was like a body double or something. And
Okay,
Well, that's exactly the hook they gave in the trailers for the game.
but
the
also,
game.
to be totally honest, we must reiterate this in the beginning. Ethan is very dumb.
yes.
So like, I don't
So
thi-
is Chris.
Chris is very dumb, but here's the thing. I think Chris is 100% right. If he told Ethan, he would have blabbered it to like everyone the whole way because he has the same like 1-2 lines. So imagine instead of him saying, "I need to save my daughter," he just goes, "Oh, I need to give my daughter back to Chris." And then all the monsters just go, "What do you mean you're giving it back to Chris?"
You don't say that name around here.
they're like, "What? And what is he coming? Is he showing up?"
And what kind of monsters do we go up against in RE8?
So the car crashes. Hello, Justin, host of Justin with Justin. Thank you for interrupting us with your giant Gatorade that
Yeah,
you're
how
not going to
dare
share with
you.
me. You didn't even get Glacier Cherry or the red one. You got the green one. Okay, you go do work. Good job. I believe in you. But so
do you
Ethan.
even edit a lot of this stuff, or do you just
Oh,
leave it?
absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Why would I?
I feel like that would be more weird to listen to than just...
I know, but trust me, it's funny.
No, that's what I mean. Like, it would be weirder if you edited it.
Yeah. So Ethan crashes. Someone attacks the van that he's being transported in with DaBaby, famed rapper, and monsters basically kidnap the baby. And we get put into the village, as the subtitle suggests, and it's full of, immediately, werewolves. Not zombies, werewolves.
They're called lichens.
Bless you. Now, and we then get introduced to our cast of titular villains. Mother Miranda, which seems to be the leader.
The biggest bad.
Yeah, of a cult. And she has 4 pillars, 4 lords, which feature Lady Dimitrescu, a 9-foot-tall lady vampire.
One everyone loves.
The one everyone loves. The one that we stand, Heisenberg,
Yep.
which is just a dude with a hammer.
He's Magneto.
Yep, we have...
He's like your Frankenstein stand-in. He's like a mad scientist type.
Yeah.
Guy.
Yeah, we got...
He's got a cool hat and cool glasses.
Donna Belladonna. Donna Belladonna. Hold on, I swear that's a main character name, but hold on. It's Donna Beneviento.
It's like it sounds Italian.
Yeah, it's Italian.
Beneviento.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that's how you pronounce it.
And her puppet, Angie.
Yep.
And then we have... I still fail to pronounce it. Moreau?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, the little Igor-looking dude.
Yeah.
And basically, Ethan has to, like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, fight the 4 evil titans, beat Mother Miranda, get his daughter back, yada, 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 etc.
Yeah, video game setup.
Yeah, classic video game setup. And honestly, thank goodness they didn't complicate it any more than that. Do you know how wonderful it is? Just, it's simple. 4 people, axe them off, call it a day.
Until the end.
Until the end.
Where it gets more complicated.
But that's every Resident Evil. I'm talking
That's
about
fair.
it's simple at the beginning, dumb by the end. That's the Resident Evil motto.
Yeah, it's a staple.
It's the staple. Of course,
So
it's
we've covered the plot now, the basic
Yep.
plot. Should we get into finer details? What we thought?
finer
The
details.
game as a
but-
whole, kind of like. Because I really liked it. I thought it played really great. It
it's
was
so good.
very similar to 7, but much more refined. And the enemy variety and the actual AI of the enemies was a lot nicer.
Yeah.
They're actually fun to fight this time compared to 7.
Yeah. So the 7 it didn't really have enemies. It had this thing called the mold, which are like 9 foot tall, just generic, goopy looking monsters.
Kind of like zombies, but they're not very interesting.
There were like 2 different kinds, but they looked exactly the same.
Yep.
Just one was crawling on the floor, right?
Yeah, one was crawling on the floor, one was standing up.
Yeah.
And there were a few variants where they would have like a tougher like arm spike or something, but they were basically all the same
But
thing.
considering it's a first person shooter, it's way easier just to like pan up and then
Yeah.
avoid the arm. Yeah, we got lichens. We got what are they called? In the castle,
Draugr.
Draugr.
Kind of like the Skyrim.
I don't know if they're
basically
exactly
zombies.
called Draugr. It's I think it's some Romanian word that
Yeah,
I'm not going to attempt to pronounce.
It's something
But
like
they're
that.
essentially zombies.
There's little gargoyles running around all over
They
the
can
place.
fly,
They can
yeah.
fly. There's
And the lichens themselves are very cool enemies. They're very fast. I mean, the whole game takes a lot of pages out of RE4, but with the enemies, they definitely kept in their intelligence and having them kind of dodge your attacks and run away from you and stuff like that.
Which
and they'll
on-
actually back off now and then and kind of leave you alone if you like fight off enough of them.
which on first playthrough, I absolutely hated fighting any werewolf ever. They were driving
It's
me nuts.
hard.
Like
the amount of ammo I wasted just trying to get headshots because they just dodge out of the way at the very last second.
yeah,
was,
they dodge or they run at you really quick, giving you like if you're reloading, they just kind of like dive bomb you. They're very easy to like just like if you don't let your guard, you just kind of get out. But like it's a horror game, right? You gotta like survive, stockpile ammo, and I wasted so many bullets with those lichens. But however, I will give credit. When was the last game where the werewolves were a main enemy?
the
like,
Order 1886.
we don't talk about that film here. Thank you very
That's
much.
the only thing I thought of.
But it's nice because they're not really bullet spongy, especially not compared to the 7 enemies.
Oh no, they're just the regular dudes.
Yeah, they're just like fast and agile, and that kind of makes them more interesting to go up against. And they also can hold weapons and stuff, and you can shoot the weapon out of their hand. And
Oh yeah, and they have the responsiveness of 4, where if you like get them at certain body parts, they trip. Like if you shoot them in the
Yeah.
knees, they kind of just
they
buckle
fall
down.
over. Yeah,
Yeah, it does that Resident Evil. It's like they took the part from Resident Evil 7. Everyone it's like we like the house, we like the hub area where the houses were, and
like
it's like
backtracking and exploration.
yeah, and they just made that into a game, and they put like the combat and the speed of 4 into like the first person setup, which honestly, It's so good.
It is. It's almost as good as 4. It's a lot better than 7 because now, the aiming's a little faster.
Also, because
guns
the
handle
second
better.
half of 7 was trash,
Yeah. And
plot-wise.
now you actually have like a counterattack. So if an enemy gets too close to you or grabs you, you can like kind of push them off or kick them away. And that was definitely needed after 7.
Yeah, because the enemies are fast and stuff. And also, the thing I did like is how every area did kind of have... Because the whole point is there's a village hub, right? And then there's the 4 castles for each of the 4 titans. And they each have like different enemies, if there are enemies, for like every single castle. Which I did appreciate that. I'm trying to think, because I think the part I really do like about is the exploration. Because you get the village, and like you go there multiple times, and the whole game makes it out so that Lady Dimitrescu's castle is the main area.
Yeah, and it's not. It's only the beginning area.
Yeah, because the main focus is on the 4 titans.
Now, I like the way the game's paced. I do think it might have been a little bit more interesting if instead of going through all of them sequentially, if you could choose.
That would have been nice.
Because in a weird way, it seems like that might have been what they originally intended. Because when you first get the map that shows you where everyone is, the fact that it even shows you where everyone is makes it seem like you're supposed to be able to go to each one whenever you want. But the fact that you have like 3 icons on your map that you can't even really go to until later, it's like kind of pointless. I think it would have made I still like the game a lot, but I feel like it would have worked out a lot more in their favor if they let you just choose where you wanted to go from that pivotal point when you meet the Duke in that center courtyard with the flask and everything. So
I will be devil's advocate for a hot second. If it was that you can pick anywhere, wherever you want, the pacing for the main area for the village would be drastically harder. Because let's say you picked Donna and Angie first.
yeah,
You cannot get any items to upgrade yourself. There's not a lot of items there. The most you get is a shotgun at the end, right?
Yeah.
So, but after you do every single one, they upgrade the enemies and they make the enemies stronger in the village itself. So imagine you go to Donna and Angie first,
that's true. Yeah.
and then you get and Moreau doesn't have that much either.
Oh, it has a
Moreau,
few.
yeah, I don't think Moreau has any enemies.
There is in the cave. You fight some, and then there's like 1 or 2 on like the dock, like one of the docks. But
Yeah.
that's it.
So maybe after Lady Dimitrescu, you can pick whoever you want.
Oh no, yeah, that's what I mean. Like after.
Yeah, because I thought I could pick, because I'm like looking, it's like, okay, so Heisenberg is obviously probably the last one. So like, let's see if I can do Moreau first. And then it's like, no, you can't. You got to do Donna. And I was like, okay, I'll do Donna. Like after Lady Dimitrescu, I think like what you said, like you should have been able to pick like one or the other.
When you get the flask for the first, because that's where you get the map that shows you all the different like, areas.
Yeah. I think that is a good idea though. Maybe if they added like a 5th Titan or something.
Yeah, to make it a little more open. And it is funny because in any other game, a giant like monolithic castle on a mountainside that takes up a good portion of your sight line whenever you look up, you would think, okay, that's like the final area, or that's like the main area of your game or your movie or whatever. The fact that it's only the beginning area and you never go back there after like the first couple hours, it is a little funny because the other 3 lords, like you don't even really see their castles or their like outposts or whatever.
Yeah.
You can just barely see a little bit of like the smokestacks from the factory at some points, and you can see a little bit of the windmill, but that's it.
Yeah.
And they're so small compared to the castle. Like it's weird because it really feels like that should be like the end point.
Yeah, that's why what freaked me out was the moment that I thought when I got to the castle, I thought things were moving way too fast. I'm like, am I like
Skipping
blazing
stuff?
through this game right now? But like, and then when I was done with the castle, I just went, oh, that's it? It's weird. It's like, because every area is fast.
Yeah.
Except like maybe Heisenberg's factory was a little longer.
Yeah, but like that's like the final lord you have to face. So like that makes sense.
And I'd say the castle's still the longest comparatively. It's just weird because it feels like a separate, entirely like different RE game, duct taped to the beginning of this one. If that makes any sense. Because the whole concept of having like a persistent stalker monster that like chases you around, that they never really bring that back. Only during like one part later on, which we could talk about in a bit.
Yeah.
But it's very short, and they never bring that back ever. So it does feel like a different game from there on out. It's still good, and I like it a lot. And 7 had a similar thing where after you left the house, you only had a little bit of that kind of stalker-ish gameplay.
Yeah.
And then it turned more into like a corridor shooter kind of thing.
Yeah, I do like the fact how every house was a different gameplay, though.
Oh, yeah, I like that a
So
lot.
Castle Dimitrescu is what we said. It's basically you do puzzles in a room, and there's 4 women all trying to get you. And you
Or
have
vampires.
vampire ladies, vampire lady and 3 bug ladies who are all trying to get you, and you have to systematically take down each one, and then you leave the castle and you fight the big baddie, of course.
And you have to run away a lot, too. Like combat, there are combat sections in the basement, but for the most part, you basically just have to run away from them.
Yeah, because you have to, for the bug ladies, you have to find a place where you can get them to be in the cold.
Yeah.
And then the vampire lady, Lady Dimitrescu, you have to.
She's the boss.
She's the boss. You have to beat. You have to just leave the castle, and then the boss fight starts.
Also, the chase sequences with Lady Dimitrescu are kind of a joke. I feel it's very, very easy to avoid her.
She's more intimidating in presence rather than actual gameplay compared to Jack Baker from the first game, who was very he would catch up to you. Like you couldn't really outrun him fully. You just had to be lucky to like get to a safe room or a room you couldn't get like enter.
But Lady Dimitrescu takes out so much health if you hit her. If she hits you, like she can get rid of a quarter of your health bar in like one hit. So like
But she's slow.
Yeah, but that's like the balance, because if someone was that fast, it wouldn't be fun.
Oh, and to be fair too, the daughters are a lot fast. They actually do catch up to you if you keep running, like, and you don't get to like a safe room or an area that they can't get to you. Like they'll catch up to you regardless. So.
I mean I don't know, this your mileage may vary, but like I didn't really encounter the daughters all that often outside of their actual fights. I like maybe once or twice.
They have different scripts that pop up depending on what you do. So I've noticed, like, depending on where you backtrack or where you don't, you'll have different dialogue that you'll be able to hear from, like, say the main living room, where you'll hear them talking amongst themselves. And
you
stuff.
saw that too?
Yeah, and they do that, and you can completely miss a lot of that in a lot of the encounters where they just spawn in. So, and I kind of like the randomness, but it also makes it less like, it's not like a persistent threat. It's just something you can kind of game the system a little bit. Be like, okay, this is an area where I'm probably fine. They won't spawn in, and you don't really know that on the first playthrough, but playing through it again, you can kind of pick up on it.
I was really unlucky though, where it was the main hall, and I had to go to the courtyard. So you have to go to like the floor on the bottom next to the fireplace, the big double door.
Yeah,
into the kitchen. So I walked to the door, and the bug lady spawns right in front of the door.
That's one of the main ones.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So then I run back. I run to the next room, and then I come back. And the moment I come back into the room, the bug lady spawns, but not in front of the door. So I go, okay, I'll just go out the double door now. So then I go to the double door, and all of a sudden, Lady Dimitrescu just opens the door,
She's
and I just
there,
went. So I have to run in circles like an absolute idiot to try to avoid both of them. Go to another room, and then I was like, okay, now they both despawned. Then I forgot Lady Dimitrescu opens the door, and I was like, okay, back to the safe room. We're gonna talk to the Duke, replan my strategy here.
It's funny you mentioned the Duke, because he's right up there with Heisenberg for me.
Oh, he's pretty great. I love him.
So the Duke's the merchant, because you can buy weapons just like in Resident Evil 4, and he's this big old fat dude.
Yeah.
And he like cooks food for you and sells you rare guns, and he like you sell him back all the stuff you find in like the castles and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's great. I love him.
Yeah, he's really jovial, and it's a good banter. It's,
I feel like it's the first time in a while we've had like just a straight up nice guy
in a Resident
Evil game.
It's like everyone's miserable, or it's like the that weird Japanese trope where it's like, innocent little girl that's always happy and perfect.
But now it's a big fat Eastern European.
Yeah. Now it's a big fat man who we still have no idea what the backstory is.
He might be a supernatural entity, depending on the dialogue at the end of the game.
Yeah, he says like, even I can't answer that or whatever.
Yeah. Who are you? Even I can't answer that, but you need to go outside, Ethan, and get some. It's like, it's great, and he's in every single area except Donna's house.
Yeah.
You don't find any enemies in there. So.
Yeah, so you don't need to talk to him. But he's like the safe room. No one can go in. So after Lady Dimitrescu's castle, we have Donna, So you go back to the village, you talk to the Duke, and he tells you all the Titans. Then you go to Donna, and so this is where the gameplay changes. Where instead of you running from a lady with a gun,
It's 100% puzzle solving, no combat
It's almost
involved.
like a Silent Hill PT kind of homage.
yeah, where you're basically locked in a room with a mannequin and no guns, and you have to solve a puzzle while learning the backstory of Ethan and Mia,
His wife, yeah.
and Angie at the same time. Because there is some, I've seen there's a lot of dialogue that can be triggered, and you can find out stuff about Donna.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, because it's horrifying. Everything about that section is horrifying.
It's basically a big haunted house, which is it's a really cool juxtaposition with the castle, which is more of like a combat, physical monsters that can attack you. This is more psychological. Up until
the part where because now
the part that's probably just as famous now on the internet as the Lady Dimitrescu.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're at the 25-minute mark. Okay, right.
Yep.
That means this part's not in a segment, so we're still gonna say it. So there's a part where all the lights just shut off, and I'm still gonna remember we said spoilers, so I don't care. Where you just walk, and all of a sudden the mannequin that you're doing the puzzles with is gone, and there's just a trail of blood and
Intestines.
and you go,
Umbilical cord.
yeah,
Or
and
that
Probably isn't
was it.
umbilical cord, actually.
yeah.
Now that I
So
think about it.
and you have the key to open up the electrical box to go to the elevator and leave, and all of a sudden, you go to the hall, and out from the darkness spawns a giant, taller than you, fetus, crawling at you, trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Trying to eat you.
Trying to eat
Yeah.
you. And it follows you throughout most of the hallways. I've seen how far it can follow you in the first encounter. It's very far. It is horrifyingly far how far it can get to you.
But I think for me at least, the thing that really unsettled me was the and this actually goes for the entirety of the game, not just the Beneviento section. The sound design, just the crying, wailing from the baby, but it also sounds
like
like
happy. It's like
it's laughing, and it sounds like it's like filtered through like a radio. I don't know what it is about that exact effect, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, it was.
it was not for me.
Yeah, no, I was playing that because I got Resident Evil 8, and I played it. The moment I got it, I was just playing it all day. And by the time I got there, it was like, I started late. It was like 11 at night, and then the baby happened, and then I just paused the game, and I went to the bathroom, and I just kind of just looked outside the window in the dark for like a couple seconds to be like, I gotta get my bearings
Trying
back.
to make sure there's no baby out there.
Yeah, no, trying to make sure. Yeah, I'd be like, Bear, my dog, Bear, come on, sick the baby. Sick him. That part's horrifying. And once you solve that and you go to the elevator up and the baby chases you throughout the whole entire level, basically.
And there's even like a mechanic that's not throughout the rest of the game where you can hide under like beds or hide under a bed or hide into like closets.
Wait, you can hide under the bed?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do. I hid in the closet. I didn't know.
That's what I did, but I knew you could hide in the bed.
I've heard the closet sometimes can glitch and it'll catch you
Really?
anyway if it clips through sometimes.
Interesting.
I don't know if they patched that
No,
out
that
or
was the
not.
thing that happened to me where the baby's head clipped through when he was turning, and it counts as him seeing me, and I shut the closet door when his head clipped through the door frame. But that counts as him seeing you before you enter, even though he didn't turn into the room yet. That happened to me. That's why I died. Yeah, it's horrifying. And then, the final boss fight is basically,
It's hide and seek
it's hide and seek. In a room, in a whole entire house filled with puppets, you have to find Angie.
that are vibrating violently.
Yeah, and all of them making noise and heckling you.
Yeah.
It's cool because the whole game does this, but that part in particular reuses a lot of ideas or unused ideas from one of the original versions of RE4.
Really?
I don't know if you guys are too familiar with.
No, no, tell me.
there was a bunch of different versions of Resident Evil 4 that kind of stayed on the drawing room floor or got repurposed into other games. There was Devil May Cry that was originally a RE4 prototype.
Yep.
There was the game that turned into Haunting Ground with the dog.
Yeah.
That
Never
became
even heard of that.
RE4. And there was another one with Leon that was similar to the one we got, but it took place in a castle/airship, and you would fight ghosts and creepy dolls that would crawl around on the floor and stuff like that. And the doll section is actually in 8 is very similar to that scene that they showed off back in like 2003
Interesting.
or whatever. It's just cool they kind of reused a lot of those ideas because I think they said in that game they almost wanted it to be like you were on drugs or some kind of hallucination thing that made you think you were seeing ghosts, and that's kind of what happens in 8, the plants. Where you kind of pick up on throughout that level that you're like going crazy because you're high from all these
Yeah, because Donna's power is that she emits spores from her face, which allows you to see hallucinations, which means she can just sit in a corner, and then Angie does the talking for her.
Talking doll, yeah.
And I do think it's cool. But one thing I think I was talking to you or someone here. So when you kill Angie, you because in the game, because again you're hallucinating, you keep hitting Angie with scissors, but then when you hit her the last time, you were hitting Donna the whole time, and she was holding Angie, and you were not hitting the puppet, you were hitting Donna herself. So the baby in the basement can kill you. What is the baby? Because it has to be a real monster.
Either that or it's like the I don't know, maybe a hallucination of her just attacking you or something, or
Possibly,
or maybe a zombie in the basement or whatever.
Because that's what I was thinking. Because I was thinking, it's like, bless you.
Got a double take there.
Yeah, there we go.
Excuse me.
Because I was thinking, it's like, because if Angie is moving because she can move, right, and you physically interact with Angie, the baby.
It's a doll, but it has like a little like creature thing in it that makes it walk around and everything.
Yeah. Well, because that's. So Angie the puppet moves, but that's actually Donna. So if the baby is coming to eat you, and the baby eats you in the game over screen when it catches you, I don't even want to imagine what that thing is supposed to be if it's not the baby. That's horrifying to think about. And then like when you walk back, what was it? When you walk in, all the things that are hanging were puppets.
Yeah.
But then when you come back, isn't it just bodies? Or what did it change to? It changed to something else.
When you fight Donna at the end or before during the
when you
chase?
walk to Donna's house, you see hanging from the trees everywhere.
They're still dolls. They just spawn in zombies at that point.
I thought there was just bodies.
No, I think they're just doll pieces.
Okay. And that's Donna's section, which is great. But I was replaying the game and I was about to go to Donna's house, and I'm like, this is not interesting at all enough to do a second time.
It's very. I mean, I do like that you can beat it pretty quickly, like within like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But it is very like puzzle driven, and once you've played it once, it's not really as surprising. The baby's still unnerving, but it doesn't chase you enough or put you in enough interesting situations where you would feel tense on multiple replays. It just kind of plays the same every time.
Yeah. I mean, like, but it's cool. I mean,
it's great.
It's still better than the time in Resident Evil 7 when it did that in the the Saw.
Yeah,
like
the Saw trap room. Yeah.
Yeah, it's way better than that trap room where if you accidentally do something,
You just die.
Yeah, you just die, and you have to like waste 10 minutes to hurry up and just end it.
So you mentioned the puzzles, and hopefully I'm not the only one feeling about this. Did either of you get the feeling that the puzzles in this game were kind of for babies?
Oh yeah. It almost feels like they made some of them and then had to rework them because they were worried that people would get stuck, such as the amazingly difficult piano puzzle, which is a callback to RE1 where you have to play piano and a secret wall opens. And here you have to play. You have a piano in front of you, and you can hit the keys to make like a song. And the idea is you have to make a certain song that's on a piece of sheet music in front of you to get like a secret passage to open. But the problem is, I guess they were worried that people wouldn't be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is hit random buttons, and whenever you hit the right one sequentially, it skips to the next note.
Yeah, there's absolutely no.
So all you do is just randomly keep tapping the buttons until you get it, and it only takes like a minute.
Yeah, I could
understand them being worried people wouldn't understand sheet music because I don't really understand it.
Yeah.
But you'd think at the very least, instead of just skipping the notes, it would just, give you more of an indicator that you're hitting the right one, and then you would have to do it all at once. Like you would have to memorize, okay, this note, this note, this note, and then you would hit all the buttons, and then
because I can't read sheet music either.
No, yeah.
But like the way the puzzle works, like
it could
the
have
way
worked.
it's supposed to work is that you just count the spaces between
Yeah.
the notes, and then you count up the keys. But the problem is there's no punishment if you get the order of the keys wrong. And you can just keep going, mashing every single key until you get the right one.
I think
It
that leads
spawned
back
like a zombie if you got it like a note
Yeah.
wrong or
Yeah.
something that could have worked.
I think this goes back to the idea of like, I guess Japan, when they were, because Capcom is a Japanese game developer, they were hyper aware of Japanese audiences and hyper like, because I'm gonna say this, I don't know if this is a hot take, but Resident Evil Village is not scary technically. It's like
more actiony.
it was like Dead Space 2, where all the horror comes from the tension of the bad situation you're in rather than the situation itself, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to akin it more to Dead Space 2. But and this is true. Apparently Resident Evil 7 was too scary for Japanese audiences, so I wouldn't be surprised if they thought like, well, now that we lowered the scare factor, because maybe it's like we need to make the puzzles faster so no one's too scared to complete them. In which
That might be an American thing too, because
Americans are dumb.
That and also our games are very action focused, so maybe
Yeah.
they thought if people were stuck on a puzzle, it would ruin the pacing, even though it wouldn't. But
Yeah, it's I don't know. I am kind of disappointed because the puzzles are for babies.
it could have worked. Yeah, like the piano one, it could have worked. It would have been a cool puzzle if they just didn't sabotage it, so that way like 2-year-olds could do it.
The hardest puzzles were the rollerball physics.
Yeah, those.
Like those were actually like those were
I
timed.
thought those were cute. They're fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they're
fun.
optional too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all optional.
I think the only puzzle I had a tough time with was in the Beneviento house, where you're supposed to make the music box go. And the only I know you're supposed to line up with, because there's the scratches on them.
Yeah.
The only reason I struggled with it is because where I have my PlayStation, there's a pretty significant glare in the room. I just couldn't even see the scratches. And that was the only reason I had trouble with that puzzle. I'd like get right up the screen, I'm like, okay, yeah, there it is. All right.
Yeah, Dave with his magnifying glasses in front of the LED screen saying,
Now I see it.
I thought the bell puzzle in the castle was pretty all right. It wasn't too hard, but I did think the idea of having one of them all the way outside of the castle, out in the distance, that was kind of a cool little idea. And if all the puzzles were more like that, where they weren't really hard, but it just took you a second to think outside the box.
Yeah.
I think that would have been perfect.
Not mashing every single button you had available to you.
Now we bring this up because other than the village, after you leave Donna, that's basically the last puzzle you ever have to do.
Basically,
yeah.
ever.
I mean, there's one in Moreau's section which is also not that great. You just gotta. It's just a game of Simon. Where you gotta,
Can we
Oh, I
discuss?
forgot about that
Can we
one, yeah.
discuss for a quick second? Right, as much as I love this game, the Moreau section was kind of awful.
really?
I kind of.
I thought I mean awful compared to everyone because it's just running. You just run
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it is fair.
and there's there's enemies to get to the boat. So like the Moreau section is basically just running, and it's just like platforming puzzles kind of.
The game's trying to be like a soft kind of remake of RE4, and this was, I guess, supposed to be like the lake section.
Yeah.
But the problem is they introduce a boat that you can maneuver around the lake, but that lasts quite literally maybe 30 seconds before you get like knocked off of it and get to the next part on the docks. And yeah, it's basically you running around the docks trying to build bridges so you can get across the lake so you can drain it to fight the monster.
Yeah.
But there's not really any exploration. It's just kind of a straight shot, more or less.
Yeah.
With the exception of that really short part in the cave. But yeah, I was a little disappointed that they introduced the boat, but you don't actually drive it anywhere, with the exception of way later in the game.
which I think that's an optional area.
Yeah, the
too.
river.
Yeah.
And that was cool. You could pick up some items, go to some secret areas. But that's the only part of the game where you use the boat. So I wonder if they intended it to be a bigger thing, just didn't have the time or money to, make you maneuver around the whole lake or whatever to fight it. Because RE4 did that, where you could go to different areas, but you actually fought the boss on the boat, and it was kind of tense and interesting and different.
Yeah, because like when you think of Resident Evil, you don't think of giant sea monster fight from a boat, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's cool. And it's Moreau, right?
Moreau,
yeah.
okay.
So Moreau is basically the monster who swims around,
Big fish.
big fish boy. And I mean, like if it was cool, that you could like fight him in the middle, and or like you can just avoid him till you have enough ammo, or like a specific like you build a weapon to fight him. That'd be cool. But it's just kind of like straight shot, and then a kind of fun boss fight with Moreau.
Oh, I like the boss fight. It's just everything before that it's very linear. You have a short puzzle where you're trying to build a bridge to get across some gaps in like a flooded town area.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. I mean, you're not really doing a whole lot or using problem-solving skills. You're just kind of running from one end to the other and hoping. And you kind of have to time your movement so he doesn't knock you off into the water and kill you. But like, there's not really all that much to it.
Yeah.
You just kind of run, like you said.
So I thought there was going to be like plot stuff happening, right? Because Donna, there really was no plot other than like backstory. So I thought there was going to be plot, but there just again isn't really much there.
Well, the way I see it is that like it's kind of serving as a juxtaposition from the Beneviento house. Like that was very clearly a slow, methodical horror section, and now this with Moreau, it's more of a fast-paced, action-y section to kind of shake things up in terms of tone. And
yeah, I think the idea was right. They just needed to add more to it to make it seem more interesting.
Because it's hyper simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. And the boss fight, when you fight him, is cool.
Yeah.
He's really big, and you have to keep running around and using explosive barrels to like keep him at bay.
Yeah.
And he has some kind of interesting attacks where he spits like acid up into the air.
Yeah.
Makes it
But
rain.
That's kind of the only real interesting part of that. It's very short. Both that and Donna's sections are very short.
Also, I made the mistake. So I tend not to have subtitles on when I play video games because my hearing, for the most part, is okay. But they gotta fix Moreau's the mixing on his voice.
Understand.
I couldn't understand a damn thing he was saying.
I had to turn them on at that point.
Yeah, like, because Japan didn't do this. It just had a guy who sounded like this. Like, he sounded like Bane, basically.
Yeah,
but
but then
It
they
sounded
kept
like a fish man, yeah.
They kept like mixing it to make it like lower and lower pitched.
Yeah,
so
but
like you could not.
I thought the
understand.
voice
But
was
in
fine.
America,
It's just,
like,
it was hard to hear.
Yeah, there's some weird reverb, or like there's some filter on it.
Yeah.
That's just like, oh, and then like they like layered two of the same filter.
I
on
understand
it.
because he was transforming into the big fish monster at the time, so it makes sense. But like, you know, Ethan was talking to him like he could understand him. It's like, Ethan, I can't understand him. If I can't understand him, I don't believe that you can. That's not how. That's not. That's not how this works.
Yeah. So I Moreau was just he was fine.
I do like early on in that section where you get the flask from Moreau, and Moreau's like, "Wait, don't steal it." And Ethan's like, "No, too bad."
He goes, I need this. Yeah. Moreau was just watching TV.
Yeah.
And eating pie.
He was watching PewDiePie on YouTube.
Yeah, he was just vibing.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and he goes, "Oh no, you took it, give it back." And Ethan's like, "No." And he goes, "But the others will make fun of me." And then that's when Ethan goes, "Yeah, right, others." Yeah, and then you beat him and then you kind of leave.
Yeah.
And then
And then we get to Best Boy Heisenberg.
yeah, best character ever, Heisenberg, who is, and we're not joking, plot-wise, is just a dude that they kidnapped and gave him powers,
He's
and
just
he
a dude.
hates everyone there because he has to stay there.
He's basically like Frankenstein, but instead of having like zombie monsters, he has these weird like body horror like
Mechanical human hybrids.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to there's the movie Frankenstein's Army. I know you guys talked about that last on your last show. But it's also similar to a lot of like really weird underground Japanese movies called Japanese cyberpunk. It's like a whole genre, and they kind of do the same thing.
Oh, is that like Tetsuo the Iron Man?
Yeah, Tetsuo the Iron Man, that kind of style, where you have people that are like kind of machine monsters, and they're really gross looking, and it's kind of like that. So I thought that whole area was really cool.
Which apparently we're in the minority on, because apparently people really don't like the Foundry section.
Oh, because it's the obligatory lab section that everyone
I
hates.
feel like people have a bad predisposition to industrial areas and games where they think it's really boring automatically if it's not like pretty looking. And sometimes they can, those kind of areas can be boring if they're done poorly. But I mean, if you do them well, like here, I think it's fine. I just think some people have a bit of a low attention span for art in games where they think if something doesn't look like 100% beautiful, it's like really ugly looking or something. Like, I don't know. I thought the whole area was cool.
I will
to
say
run
though,
around in.
the only thing I genuinely hated was how the game introduced an enemy, which is very hard. You have to shoot him in the heart,
Yeah, the
basically.
weak point.
And he's very hard, and he constantly moves. He never stops. So you have to like aim specifically and wait for him to pause in his very brief animation of attacking you to get him. Now, that's fine. That's really good. But then when you get to like the last third of it, they just keep throwing those same enemies at you multiple times in shorter corridors. And they just be like, all right, but here's the gimmick now. Now you have to shoot the door to open it in a specific pattern. And it's like, well, I really don't want to deal with two of these guys in a room that's literally like 1 inch, 1 inch big, trying to shoot Pop Goes the Weasel on the door. That is the only part of Heisenberg's area that I just hated, where it's just all of a sudden at the end, it's like, here's 10 of them, you don't have enough ammo, you can't go back to the Duke yet. That was the only part that I can see where it's like, yeah, that's bad. I'm sorry, not bad, but obnoxious or annoying. But I honestly, out of all the really, not fun lab parts in all the Resident Evil games, I thought that was one of the best ones.
Yeah,
that's like
definitely.
one of the best ones.
It was really fun. And
I mean,
honestly,
I thought the atmosphere was really great. The visuals, like when you first enter the Foundry and you see like all the machinery in the background, that was incredible.
cool. Yeah, and the monster designs were great. I mean, they were all like really intimidating and creepy and kind of original looking.
And then my favorite part is how it's separated into floors, but you have an elevator,
Yeah.
and every single time you do something important on the floor, you have to go to a different floor. And if you go back to a floor, it changes.
Yeah.
Like when you need something to unlock the third floor, and you're on the second floor, so you go back to the first floor, and all the power's out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's new monsters there.
Yeah, there's new monsters, new spawn, like enemies spawn, like it's pitch
You
black.
can backtrack to get like optional stuff in rooms you missed before.
Yeah, that the monsters open the doors for you or like, just stuff like that. It's really cool. I really did love that. Especially the one where like you meet the fully armored dude where you need to shoot his heart, and he's like super armored, and he's coming from a red hallway, and I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna sit in this back corner of the room and wait for him
It's
to
like
come in.
pitch black when you come across the first one. It's completely dark.
You kind
So
of
he comes up right in front of you, and at first you think, oh, it's one of the other monsters, and then it's just right there in front of you.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
this?
he can't even
You
do
know?
anything until he destroys his armor, which I think takes like 2 explosive rounds from the
Yeah,
grenade
it's
launcher.
crazy. But and I'm a sucker for the RE4 island. I know everyone hates it, but like I really like that part, and this was very comparable to that. So I like the RE8 one a lot.
Yeah, and now, right, once we get to the end of Heisenberg's, do we have all of our thoughts of Heisenberg's area out?
Yeah, I think for the most part, yeah.
Fun boss fights.
Just,
Yeah.
No, I was
his,
about to
his,
get
just the whoever the voice actor is clearly had a phenomenal time playing the character.
Oh my god, he has that voice actor. Okay, the one thing I should bring up is most of the voice cast is like all new people.
Yeah.
Like almost all of them. Like we checked.
They outsourced most of the voices to like a small company in Southern California. So
And may I say, thank God. I always love it when I see new voice actors, but like everyone is a new voice actor here, or like they don't do much.
the only downside at all, and it's not even really that big of a deal, is that a lot of the supporting characters sound kind of generic, or they don't really do much with, like, they don't have any accents.
Yeah.
Like when I said they're from Southern California, you can kind of tell because a lot of them, especially the villagers who are supposed to be like Eastern European, all sound like Californian Americans.
Yeah.
You don't really meet a whole lot of the villagers until
and
like after the first
It's
hour
very
or so.
short, so it never really got on.
Yeah.
It annoyed me because you don't really notice it that often.
Yeah.
But it is kind of funny. Same thing with Heisenberg. Like his voice actor had a lot of fun, but you could tell he's not Eastern
not
European.
Eastern European.
He's not
He's
even
like-
trying
Yeah,
to do
He's
like,
like
a
a
bad
dude from New
accent.
York.
Yeah, Heisenberg's supposed to be German, but he's just Ethan Winters. It's like, you're sounding like Hank Hill here, Chief. What are you doing?
Like the fact that they all ham it up, it completely works. So you don't even really think about the accent thing at all.
Yeah, the accent. And so he's great. So basically, at the end of that, you don't technically fight Heisenberg. You get knocked down to the basement where you meet Chris, and Chris kind of goes, okay, now here's the reason why all of this is happening.
Here's the plot of the game.
Here's the reason. I took the baby because Mia was actually Mother Miranda in disguise. Surprise, she's a Transformer now. And so I had to kill her, take the baby. But apparently guns don't work on a ever magical changing, ship-shifting cult leader.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? And I thought 9 bullets to the head would do something. But apparently, guess what? Bada bing, bada boom, it doesn't. So...
Big monster lady, yeah, you can do anything.
So Chris has been in the basement of the village the whole time, I guess, building a mecha.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was Heisenberg's thing. That you
was that
stole.
Heisenberg's?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I thought Chris built that thing.
No, I
That would have been really funny if he did.
Well, but the whole thing wasn't it because it was like a metal polymer thing, so like Heisenberg couldn't control it. Like why would Heisenberg build
Yeah, why would
that?
Heisenberg
Well, I
build
guess he
that?
would he could pilot it, but he couldn't like pick it up or move it around with his camera.
Why would
I could have sworn it was
Heisenberg?
Chris. It was Chris who built it.
'cause
Maybe he did. I thought he said he modified or he found it
Oh, okay. Well, that could be
Maybe.
like he found it in the scrapyard and he modified
or
it.
something. Yeah.
But like, so basically, he gives you a toy car and says, "Okay, you go get the baby back." And
It's got a chainsaw, a machine gun, and a whole ass like 60mm cannon.
yeah,
And it's like a little tank that you drive around, but it's like on like a tractor.
Yeah.
It's like a tractor that was turned into like a tank, and it's great.
yeah. So
You only use it for that one boss fight, but it's really fun.
yeah.
though.
So once Chris says, "Go get the baby," Ethan says, "Let's go," and then he drives the thing straight to Heisenberg. Heisenberg is now a giant mecha spider, basically.
Yeah, so it turns into Pacific Rim.
Yeah, it turns into Pacific Rim, and then you beat Heisenberg, and then Mother Miranda just comes in and kills Ethan.
Yeah.
Just straight up kills Ethan, and then you take control of Chris, who's raiding the village now to get to Mother Miranda.
the best Modern Warfare mission that's ever been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally, it's just Call of Duty. They give you a bunch of ammo,
And
with the best guns in the game.
That's not a bad thing.
No, and they did the same exact night vision thing when you enter buildings with the noise.
Oh,
and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Zero Dark 30 going black,
Yeah,
going
it's-
dark.
Because usually RE games kind of turn into shooting galleries by the end, and I feel like with this one they just kind of went all in with it.
Yeah.
Screw it. I mean,
Like-
on paper this should be a bad idea that we're leaning this hard into the action, but because of the plot and because Ethan dies, it's oh, you want to get revenge.
I
so
think
now you're
at this
Chris,
point
and-
people expect it, so they were just like, why the hell not? Let's just go really over the top.
They're like, okay, let's make it fun. Let's make it tonally correct. Because technically in most of the shooting gallery parts, it really just doesn't make sense, kind of.
It's more of a power fantasy because you start the game off really weak, and then
Yeah.
by the end you're fighting all the monsters.
But this
and
one
you're-
was actually kind of written with context pretty well.
because you're a different character who's kind of getting revenge, so it's
Yeah.
a little different.
Yeah. So after that part, you then get Ethan. Plot twist, the biggest plot twist ever. Chris saves Mia, and you actually can see some backstory of all the characters, of all the Titans, how they're supposed to be
They give
vessels.
backstory to the whole franchise because it turns out Spencer was in the village when he
During
that was
the
bef-
1920s.
yeah,
or something,
and then he saw the little logo on the in the ceremonial grounds. He's like, hey, that looks like an umbrella. I'm gonna call my company Umbrella.
Yeah, and you get the backstory and everything, and then Mia, and then Chris saves Mia, and Chris is like, Mia, Ethan's dead, and Mia's like, okay, the thing I've been trying to say this whole game is hard cut to Ethan. Ethan's back alive, and then someone goes, oh no, you were mold the whole time.
Yeah.
You were literally a walking corpse, and Ethan goes, but I need to save my baby. So he wakes up.
So here's the thing about that.
Half dead to go fight Mother Miranda.
I'd like to know how, as a creature made entirely of mold, how he was able to procreate.
But that's why the baby's the chosen one.
But
because
but how does that work biologically? I want answers, Capcom.
because
How is a dead creature made of mold able to impregnate a human woman?
well, maybe it was mold in disguise, like robots in disguise. Again, Transformers. It was mold in disguise that just entered.
I think the wording of it makes it weirder too, because they don't say oh, you were brought back to life with this creepy underground mold stuff. It's oh no, you are. That's all.
yeah.
You are literally mold, because that makes sense. Because in the castle, Lady Dimitrescu cuts your hand off, and you just put it
Reattach
back
it.
on,
Yeah.
with,
Stick it on,
and then you like spray some liquid on it, and then your clothes fit perfectly. Like
Yeah.
the slash in the clothes fixes itself.
So it's it's there's no actual human underneath it. It's entirely
Yeah.
fake.
He's literally mold, and then you kill Mother Miranda, and Chris goes, I kind of put a bomb there.
Hold on a second. I'm just thinking about this. Mia knew that Ethan was mold,
Yeah,
but Ethan did not know.
No.
yeah. Remember when I said he's too dumb to be a
Said-
reporter?
Do you remember the beginning where she was trying to tell him something in the house?
Yeah, in the flashback.
Oh, he was in the flashback,
Yeah,
and
in
she was wasn't sure if she wanted to tell him.
Oh,
Yeah, she's like I'm a word. That's what the Donna part was about. It's because she keeps going like, hey,
Yeah. Okay. No. All right.
yeah. So
You're a
But
zombie.
how did she know, and how did Ethan not know? That's what I want to know.
well, I mean, considering they're put under witness protection,
I mean, fair.
Chris probably sent back the medical reports, and then Mia looked at it and went, "Oh no!"
Also,
and
she's a
then left.
bioterrorist that
Oh,
was the
good
one
point.
that sent it
Yeah.
to Louisiana to begin with. So maybe she had some way of finding
point.
out or something.
Yeah,
and that's never brought up ever again. Like, oh, she was maybe a villain, but like she's good now. But
yeah. They never explained in 7 where the child with the mold kind of came from.
well, I think they explained here that it's like a monster that came from this village.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was like
But they never really say who Mia and her partner was in 7. They're like secret agents or terrorists or something.
Yeah.
So you never actually figure out if they're good or bad guys, but it seems like she's like at the heart of everything. Because at the very end of 8, you see her in a picture with all the main villains, like or the scientists.
Mia.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
lab next to
I must have missed
Miranda
that.
and all them.
I
Yeah,
saw
she's
that
all the-
picture. I don't think I noticed Mia there.
She's all the way on the right.
Huh.
Her and the partner guy from
right.
7.
I'll have to. I guess I gotta replay the game.
Yeah, and and then you go kill Mother Miranda, which honestly I thought was a pretty fun fight.
Yeah, it's cool seeing some of the like they had the RE4 final boss. One of her forms turns into that.
Yeah,
spider
I
thing.
noticed that. I was like, the spider one. It reminds me of the guy from 4.
Yeah, the very end. So that was cool, and she kind of shape shifts into different monsters.
So you have to constantly switch and use different guns because different guns are better for each form, and she does it without telling you, or like there's no damage indicator to tell you when she's gonna
So
do
just
it.
kind of a crapshoot, but it's still cool though.
Or
Yeah.
if like every other RE game, you just hoard Magnum bullets until the very end fight.
Yeah, I know that's what
That's
I
what
did.
yep.
When I got it, when I was on my last first aid, I'm like, okay, Magnum time.
Yep.
And then we get the resounding conclusion of Chris put a bomb in the heart of the village to make it gone.
To make the monster go. Yeah.
Yeah, to make the monsters go
'cause
away.
It's like a giant like fungus thing
Yeah,
underground.
it's just more of
yeah,
the
it's like a
mold.
root.
Yeah.
like a root.
Because RE4 had like ancient parasites underground that would like brainwash people, and this is kind of similar, but it's like a mold like fungus thing
Yeah.
that controls people, and that's kind of similar.
So Ethan kills Miranda, gives the baby to Chris, says, "I be gone, go away. I'm dying
Yeah,
anyway."
he sacrifices himself to save everyone.
You get an achievement that says "Best Dad Ever."
Yeah.
And then we basically are told that there's I guess they're teasing
They
a
do a
new
lot of-
organization, that there's another bioterrorist group.
So the ending of 8, as much as I like the game, it is kind of weird because it seems like they're trying to go in multiple different directions. Because at the end, after the Chris section, you find out that the BSAA might be corrupt or something, or evil.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, that's probably going to be the next game or whatever, because they're using zombies, and they're not, obviously they're supposed to be the opposite, supposed to be fighting the monsters and everything.
Yeah.
So you have that hook, but then the post-credits sequence has the game skip to like
18
10,
years later?
15 years or something, or 18 years later, or whatever, or his daughter, Ethan's daughter's all grown up, and now she's working for Chris, and it's going to fight monsters, and she has superpowers. But that's like a whole separate game, because you have all this stuff in between.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like...
Because 8 doesn't 8 take place in 2020? Like it
Yeah,
takes place
20
current
this
year.
Yeah, so they're skipping to like the 2030s.
Yeah.
In the future, which is going to be weird. So I don't know if they're even going to address that, or if they're just going to leave that whole plot on the table and just like wait till we get that, like in real life, wait till we get that far in the future and be like, okay, maybe we'll address it.
So Resident Evil 9 won't come out for another 18 years.
I think
I mean, like all the other upcoming ones will take place in between, like modern day.
I'm not, if they do make Resident Evil 9 about the daughter, I'm not excited, because it's just going to be, because she's going to have superpowers, and there's not going to be, like, unless you want a game like The Darkness, where you're just, a first-person shooter where you have, superpowers.
It just wouldn't be Resident Evil.
It really, I mean,
'Cause you're
maybe for a
supposed to be-
spin-off.
Yeah, you're supposed to be underpowered, and it wouldn't really work for the horror setting. And I know how you said that 8 isn't very scary, but at least it keeps that kind of like vulnerable feeling. Where
Oh, yeah,
you-
like
you're-
Dead
you're
Space
scared,
2.
Yeah.
It's the situation that you're in is scarier than the situation itself.
or like the
tension of the
premise.
action.
Yeah, the premise isn't as scary as like the gameplay and every
Yeah.
And having a character be like a superpowered person, I don't know, it just seems a little too over the top.
Yeah.
But
again, it'd be like the darkness.
yeah, it could be cool. I just wouldn't. Yeah, it seems like a spin-off idea rather than like a main game thing.
Which, if it's a spinoff, I mean,
And also,
that sounds fine.
I didn't know this about the very last shot of the ending until somewhat recently. At the very end, when they're driving away from the graveyard, you see like a figure all the way out in the background. And when I first saw that, I was a little confused because the screen kind of pauses and it looks like the car stops because it doesn't look like it's going any further. And I thought, oh, is it like a freeze frame? And it just kind of holds on it. And then it cuts to black, cuts to the credits. And I wasn't sure if it was something you're supposed to notice or if that was just like a weird timing or whatever.
Okay.
But somebody actually went into the game's like the camera and they hacked it.
Really?
And you can actually go all the way out into the cut because it's a 3D rendered
Yeah.
in-game cutscenes, not CG. So you could go all the way to the other end of the graveyard, and that's Ethan at the very end.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so I don't know if that was supposed to be
That's definitely not supposed to be Ethan.
No, like if it's supposed to be like a ghost or like a look, like it's the dead dad saying bye or whatever. Not literally, but like figuratively.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Or if he's secretly somehow alive or came back to life, or if it's just something they threw in there as a fun Easter egg.
My guess is that they were too lazy to make a new model for this random thing that you see from like 100 meters away.
But
And
then
so they
why
just-
choose him out of anything? Because
Yeah,
it could have
'cause
been a
there's a
tree. I thought
it
it
could
was
have
like
been
a
the
tree.
villagers. It could have
Yeah.
been any of
That's
those
a
villagers.
good point.
I thought it was like a tree when I first saw it, and that's why I was a little confused. I'm like, well, why are they lingering on this random object that you can't even really see? It's so far out. It's just a little blip. And then, when that came out, I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting.
Wouldn't it be really funny if the plot of the game is it starts immediately from there and it's hyping up that you're the girl throughout all the trailers, but then it just hard cuts to like, everything she's doing for her full life for like the first like 30 minutes, hour, just like they did with Lady Dimitrescu in the castle. And then you get to that scene and then you hard cut plays Ethan again.
He's back to life. Yeah.
No explanation whatsoever.
No explanation. Everything's like futuristic and hyper futuristic, but Ethan's still like, oh, where's my 1940s Glock?
1940s Glock.
Yo, I'm still mold. That's how I'm still alive.
He goes, I don't know who I'm back. I don't know who I am. I just had my ID. And then she's like, she has to try to explain to him. He goes, I don't understand you. And he runs away and everything tries to get him.
I
So-
do think they. One last thought about that whole
Yeah.
ending. I like how 7 and 8, to an extent, was trying to be something new for Resident Evil. You're
Yeah.
bringing in new characters without any baggage from the old games, and that's probably the biggest problem, like turn off for me for having his daughter be the protagonist going forward. It's like I kind of want to see completely new characters that aren't related to everyone else. Like, this story arc's done. Let us move on to new stuff, like every other game or something.
Right.
Well, I kind of like how they because I still want to be a first person shooter. I like the trilogy of gameplay they do for the 8 we have so far, where the first one's tank controls, right? The second one's third person shooter. This one's first person shooter. I do want them the next one to be a first person shooter, like keep the trilogy. But oh my god, if it's the daughter, no, no, please.
It's gonna have to be in the future.
I know.
How are they gonna account for stuff? Like, is it just gonna be like close to modern day, and they're just gonna ignore like I mean,
We play as Ethan's hands. He take control over someone else's hand.
like I guess in 10 years things aren't gonna, or 15 years things aren't gonna be radically different.
Yeah.
I mean, assuming that things, like the world doesn't end or whatever. But it just seems like a weird premise for that kind of game, making it like sci-fi almost.
Yeah. So I guess we should do overall thoughts and then wrap it up. So like if I had to put this like on a tier list, this is like a tier list, like low A, high B,
I'd say high B.
like high B, low A, like in that
I'd agree. Yeah.
borderline. Like that's like what, like a high 7,
Yeah.
medium, like low to mid 8.
I'd give it like an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, 8. Yeah.
It has
I
a
like
lot
7.
of nitpicks to it that I could critique, but honestly, the whole experience as a whole was really good, and I
Oh, yeah.
enjoyed it.
It's fun.
It took everything I loved about 7, but expanded upon it, and didn't have really almost any of the bad aspects of 7.
Yeah, that's the thing why I love it is because it's literally they listened. They said, "What's the part you like about 7?" Well, the part on the ship is garbage, but the part in the village, the part in the cottage was fantastic.
Yeah.
And they like they took it and then they improved that idea, and oh my god.
The only thing 7 really has over this is the more small-scale, claustrophobic, lower-key kind of horror, which I really like that kind of stuff. This is more over the top and, classic monster movie kind of stuff.
But like that's like for like the first half
Yeah.
of the game, then it just stops being that.
Yeah.
Which as great as that is.
And I do think the story kind of goes over the top, but it's entertaining that I don't really care. So it's a good experience all around. I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's solid. This game gets the DCM
Seal of approval official.
You could split hairs over whether it's better than 4 or whatever. I mean, it's not, but
No, it's not. No. Shut up.
or if it's how good it is. But it's a good experience overall. I know a lot of people are comparing it to 7, but I mean, I liked it a lot more.
Yeah. It's I don't get the 7 comparisons, like one bit. Dave has played 7.
Yeah.
Poor man.
I know.
Even
though I own it.
Oh yes.
It's worth playing.
It's fun.
It's very slow.
Maybe that'll be the next thing that shows up on the "Hey guys, what you been playing" segment.
Yeah. The band footage isn't really that fun though. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I thought the End of Zoe DLC was kind of fun because you play as a redneck and you just box the monsters to death.
Yeah,
but
and then Not a Hero is just kind of a generic first-person shooter.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's like Chris's section, but less fun, slower, and yeah.
And again, the gunplay is not as great as 8.
No.
Is there anything else we want to add about Resident Evil Village?
I'm curious to see what or if any DLC they end up making, because they didn't have a season pass for this one, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Because 7 did, and there's a whole bunch of DLC packs.
I mean, maybe it's going to be free like they did with Devil May Cry, where it's just a bunch of free
Or the
updates.
RE2 remake, where they had the little challenge maps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ghost Survivors.
Yeah, I'm curious if they'll do any story-based stuff, because you have Chris's team, and you could do a whole bunch of different missions with them. So that could be interesting.
Or above and beyond, secret option, see add a 5th Titan.
Yeah.
add 2 hours of gameplay for free.
to the main campaign. Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be cool. And positive vibes on this game. We're doing really good.
We like the game.
We love the game. And I guess that about wraps it up for a review.
Yeah, I think so.
This has been our first DCM game review.
Yeah.
The very first.
Yeah, because we just do overviews or quick recaps of hey, what are we even playing?
See, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really reviewed anything.
Like a new current game.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so I guess with that out of the way, make sure to like, subscribe, tell us how much you guys like Resident Evil Village. Dave's probably gonna not read it, but it's okay. I'll just if you send a really bad one, I'll text it and be like, look at this joke.
Yeah, and then I'll message you and be like, hey, shut up.
Yeah, and you'd be like, hey, mister, that's not very nice. With that out of the way, I'm Howard.
And I'm David.
And I'm Jake.
You have a good night, everyone.
See ya.